Ken, we were just talking about the Dodgers potentially losing Tanner Scott for some time. Their bullpen has taken hits. I know you've written about the Dodgers potentially looking for some bullpen help. Do you think that any of those marquee names will truly be available? Because you can also talk about how, Mason Miller was just mentioned in your notes column, and maybe he can get plucked away from the A's.
Those guys are available in the sense that those teams will talk about them. The Guardians will talk about Emmanuel Clase. The Twins will talk about Jhoan Duran and Griffin Jacks. The A's will talk, presumably, about Mason Miller. The question is the price and what teams are willing to pay. Now, all of those pitchers I just mentioned are under club control. Clase is under club control for a number of years at a very affordable price. When I say club control, beyond this season. So the price will understandably be higher than they would be for rentals. And there are some rentals available. And I didn't mention David Bednar and Dennis Santana. They are two others. So the supply of relievers at least is better than the supply at any other spot on the fields. Much better than the supply of starting pitchers, good hitters, all of that. So yes, the Dodgers will be able to get a reliever. But if you remember, they built this team trying to avoid overpaying at the deadline, specifically avoid overpaying for relievers. That's why they signed Tanner Scott and Kirby Yates and Blake Trinan for more than $100 million combined. Now Evan Phillips is out for the season. Trinan still is not back. Brusdar Graterol is out, and Tanner Scott might be joining them.
Big blows to the Dodgers, Ken. But you mentioned Mason Miller and the Athletics. Are they open for business? Are they open for Severino, Sears, some of their starters? Because I feel like if they could get those guys out there, they might be able to get a pretty big haul because there's not a ton of quality starters. And these guys have shown at times they can be pretty good.
They're totally open for business on Severino, Sears, and Springs. Now, they're not going to give them away, obviously. And each pitcher is a little bit different. Sears is a guy who hasn't had great results this year and even last year, but takes the ball. He is every fifth day. That guy is there. Springs is someone who has pitched much better of late, though his last start wasn't quite as good. And Severino, of course, is the guy who at Sutter Health Park is one pitcher and on the road is another. A lot of money still coming to him. So these guys are all different, but can they be discussed in trades? Will they be discussed? Are the A's drawing interest in them? Yes, yes, and yes. So we'll see what happens there. And keep in mind, too, with all of these situations, the A's, the Diamondbacks, too, when you talk about Gallen and Kelly, these teams do need to get through the season. They can't trade everybody, but I would expect to answer your question, AJ, they'll be open on those guys and willing to move.
Hey, question for you. What are the Braves going to do?
Not much. And the reason they're not going to do much is they're really open only to trading their players on expiring contracts. Raisel Iglesias would be one. Marcell Ozuna is another, but I can't imagine the demand for him is terribly high, and he does have 10-5 rights, so he can veto any trade, kind of control the process. When you talk about controllable players, and I see Sean Murphy's name get mentioned a lot, Sean Murphy is really good, and there are teams that need catchers, yes, but if the Braves are going to trade him, and remember, this is a team that under Alex Anthopoulos has always had two strong catchers. They do that all the time. That's how they operate. So they're not going to be in any rush to trade Sean Murphy just because Drake Baldwin has emerged. And at the same time, if they do anything like that, if they even entertain the idea, it almost certainly would be in the offseason when you can open the discussions to more teams. More teams are ready to do some things in the offseason than they are at the deadline. You have teams that are non-contenders now that could be in play during the offseason. You also have teams that might be more flexible with their rosters in the offseason. So a Sean Murphy discussion, if it's ever going to take place, and I'm not even sure that it will, that would take place in the winter.
All right, let's go, Ken, to a team you used to make baseball come alive when you covered them, the Orioles. What are they going to do? Because they're fascinating to me. They're not getting back in the race like everyone thought they were, but they have some pieces that are tradable. But the thing I want to know is Adley Rutschman possibly out there because they took, Ike Irish and Caden Bodine, their first two picks in the draft a couple weeks ago. Where do they stand with that? Is that the guys who are going to come up at some point? And they also have Samuel Basallo, catcher prospect right there. So is possibly, you mentioned Sean Murphy, could Adley Rutschman at some point possibly be on a move?
Well, first of all, he's on the injured list right now. So I would say no. He has an oblique. He's still recovering from that. I don't expect that he's going to be traded anytime soon. But what I wrote about my notes column is the idea that long term, he might not be the piece that we all thought he would be, the fixture, the 10-year Oriole. His deal is up after 27. Or not his deal. His arbitration expires after 27. So he has only 2 more years of control left. And as you mentioned, they've got Basallo coming. They drafted those two guys. Only Bodine is really a catcher. Ike Irish is someone who's going to bounce around, maybe play the outfield. They don't see him as a pure catcher. But yes, Adley Rutschman, since last year's All-Star break, has not been a very good offensive player. Ran into some bad luck this year. Okay, we all understand that. But he has not proven to be the guy that we all thought perhaps he was going to be. Not saying he can't be that guy at some point. But then you wonder, okay, under the current circumstances, would the Orioles sign him to an extension? There's been a lot of talk about that over the years. Oh, got to get Adley done. Got to get him signed. Well, if he's not going to be that much of a cornerstone player for you, maybe you look and say no. And maybe in the offseason, you look to trade him then. I haven't heard that. I don't necessarily expect that, but they do have other options in their system. There's no question about it.
Hey, where do you see the Angels at? I know they have some interesting pieces too. Tyler Anderson, a Taylor Ward, but they're also right in the thick of this wild card race. What do you expect them to do?
Kevin, that's a really interesting team. And they're interesting because their owner, Artie Moreno, is unpredictable. It would seem to me that if they're anywhere close, that they're going to either buy or just kind of do some things around the edges. I don't see them selling if he thinks, the owner, that they have a chance. And yet at the same time, they've got the Mets now and the Mariners coming. If they have a bad week and fall out of this thing, they could be a really interesting seller. Taylor Ward, of course, will be one piece. He's under control for 1 more year. Could they listen on Kikuchi in a market star for starting pitching? Could they trade Kenley Jansen? Even listen on Joe Adele, who's having a breakout kind of year. They could do all of these things. I don't expect that they will, because I don't know that Artie Moreno wants to preside over a rebuilding situation. But the key question with the Angels is always, what is Artie thinking? And the answer right now is we don't know.
All right, so I've got a seller question on a team that is definitely not in it this year, the Washington Nationals, Ken, but I wanted to get more context on what you wrote in your notes column. This could be the trade deadline where you could get a ton for someone who doesn't have a lot of years of control left. And to me, I'm bringing up Mackenzie Gore because the starting pitching market doesn't look loaded. He looks like he's someone who can help a playoff team. And what are the Nats doing? I mean, they're trying to sell in my mind. And with that, they're trying to keep their payroll down. So if you're trying to do that, you're not trying to win right now. And Mackenzie Gore is going to expire before they're good again. So why wouldn't they make a move like this?
Scott, if you remember in 2022, Juan Soto had as much club control remaining 2+ years as Mackenzie Gore does right now. The difference is Mike Rizzo no longer is the president of baseball operations. They have an interim GM, Mike DiBartolo. They're going through, obviously, some change. They also have traded away players in recent years and lost them in free agency. Big-time stars in their own division. Bryce Harper, Trey Turner, Juan Soto, Kyle Schwarber, and of course, Max Scherzer was traded with Turner. I'm not sure they have an appetite for doing this again with Mackenzie Gore, who was part of this rebuild, a huge part of it, one of the central figures in the Soto trade. And with all this change, all this uncertainty in the organization, I'm not sure they see this as the right time. But that said, given that the market, as I mentioned, is starved for starting pitching, quality starting pitching, given so few aces are available, teams are going to call. And will some teams say to the Nationals, listen, we're going to give you X, Y, and Z, and it's going to be really good. It won't be the Soto deal, but it might be something really good for now. Do they do it? In my opinion, they probably should. Mackenzie Gore, represented by Scott Boras, probably not a strong candidate to sign an extension. So I don't know where this is going with the Nats, but it's similar to Mason Miller, and it's similar to some other guys who are under club control for multiple years. How hard will teams push, and will those teams tempt the teams that have those players?
Time for a quickie break. Todd Father and I are going to tell you about Huel, but it's mostly going to be Todd Father because I'm going to take a sip.
Well, we're talking about Huel, 27 vitamins and minerals. It's a complete meal. Let's listen. We all have busy schedules. As Scott's sipping it down, it looks delicious. It tastes delicious. When we're on the run, we need something to eat quick. And guess what? Huel is there, all different flavors. Scotty loves them. I love them. And I love how variety-packed it is, and we can eat them any time of the day.
That's right. Yeah, check out the website. There's bars. There are so many different flavors. I love the black edition. Chocolate, 35 grams of protein. There's strawberry shortcake, coffee caramel, cookies and cream. I can go on. And you get yourself 15% off if you're a new customer using the code FOUL at Huel.com/foul. Please see our description for the terms and conditions. Skip the stress, not the nutrition. Try Huel today for complete nutrition with the code FOUL at Huel.com/foul.
You and I did the Cubs Red Sox game this weekend, and you were in there with me when Craig Counsell said the Brewers have really good starting pitching. I'm not surprised they're here. But are you surprised they're here? Because, I mean, honestly, I didn't think they'd have the best record in baseball in almost the end of July. What are they going to do? We know left side of the infield, but who's out there that they could possibly get? Because their pitching is unbelievable, and they're making a run of the likes that a lot of people are surprised by.
First of all, AJ, how can you not be surprised? They trade Corbin Burns 2 years ago. Then they trade Devin Williams last offseason, lose Willy Adames to free agency. They didn't do much in the offseason at all. In fact, they did hardly anything until the very end when they had some pitching injuries, signed Quintana, traded for Priester. What do they do now? It's going to be really interesting. You're right. The left side of the infield should be an area of focus. I don't see why they can't be a team for Eugenio Suarez. They are the team, one of the few teams, that actually has pitching to trade. Now, I don't know that you trade young pitching for a rental, but maybe you expand the deal. The key question here, too, is the owner and how badly he wants to push. Mark Attanasio, we've seen, has not spent money, but been very successful. And if you're Mark Attanasio, you're probably thinking, we're doing okay. But after sweeping the Dodgers, and he lives in LA, Attanasio does, I wonder if he is getting a little bit more excited and if he sees an opportunity here, not for them to do something nuts, but just to add payroll to reinforce what they have. They also need bullpen help. They have a really good bullpen, but all teams at this time of year are wondering if their guys are going to be on fumes and just in general want to reinforce that part of the team. So I expect them to be active. They should be active. Will they be? That remains to be seen.
All right, Ken. We have Kevin Pillar on here. It's his first time on our show. So I want people out there to understand one thing. Ken and I like each other. All right. So everyone out there that thinks Ken and I really don't like each other, we actually really do like each other. And I'm never more excited than when I see Ken on my schedule. Because we get to talk baseball for a long time and car rides and after the thing and everything. But I got to experience some with Ken on Saturday night that he had never done before. Okay. I got Ken to go to the club. Okay, to the club. Now, granted, him and Adam Amin were having a height off on Adam's DJ booth set that he did, okay? But I got Ken to go to the club with me and watch Adam Amin DJ. Did you like it, Ken? Because you left a little bit earlier than we did, and it got going pretty good, and Adam did his whole set. But did you like it, Ken? And people were disappointed you didn't wear your bow tie.
Well, right. I had taken my bow tie off by that time. I definitely liked watching Adam in action. It's amazing to me that Adam Amin, who is the Chicago Bulls regular television announcer, a guy who does Fox football and baseball, a very prominent broadcaster, within, I don't know, a half hour of that game ending Saturday, was across the street in Wrigleyville DJing, and it was going. It was going pretty good. Now, did I like it, AJ? Yes, I liked it. I mostly liked it because I was really intrigued to see Adam and see him in action. But I'm a little bit older than you. I'm a lot older than most of those people who are in the club. I can definitely enjoy seeing everybody so happy and having fun. Is it my scene? Will I be back next week? Will I be back every night? Probably not. And by the way, on that photo, show that photo again. I want to have a comment on that photo. All right. My wife, when she saw that photo, her comment was, it looks like AJ's taking the kids out.
Ken,
People were asking me if I was standing on a box. I'm like, no, I was not standing on a box.
No,
I
that's
told
real life.
AJ. Yeah, I texted AJ. AJ looked like Shaq. AJ is tall and AJ's thick. He's got a thick build. So I was like, dude, you look like Shaq up on the stage, and Shaq's a DJ.
I mean,
Anyway,
Adam is like my size, which is amazing because there's nobody my size, nobody that small, but Adam is kind of.
Dude,
I was
you
waiting
missed,
for the.
I think you
Yeah.
left a little early, Cam, but Adam at one point grabbed the microphone. You were already gone, and was like, not only was he doing his thing, but then he was talking while he was doing it. That was when the crowd really got hyped. It's like, I'm bleeping Adam with me. Let's bleep and go. Blah blah blah. We almost got Ken. We almost got Ken to do the frat flick. I was trying to get him to do the frat flick in the corner, with the beat, but he got his arm up there, but oh no.
AJ had a lot of fun that night.
I can tell.
Yeah,
I can tell.
Maybe next time bring the club outfit.
Yeah, maybe next time. I mean, Kevin, it was like a half hour after the game. It wasn't, well, actually, AJ changed. But these guys, the play-by-play and analysts, they have clothes in the booth. They have all kinds of action going on.